What's up, guys? It's the real main event, the Rogue Soldier, the essential Giant Crossfire.
And I'm Mrs Crossfire.
And once again, you guys are tuned into Caught
in Conversation. Shakalaka-laka.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 118 of Caught in Conversation. We have aptly named this The Gospel of M. I am the essential John L. Crossfire.
I am Nova Lee.
And you'll hear why we've called it that as we get into this amazing, fun conversation that I've been wanting to do literally for years, but I've been too scared to do it. I've been a bit of a bitch, I'm not going to lie. But eventually, fate would have it, and it just kind of lined up where Nova Lee said, look, shoot your shot. The worst that this man can say is no, and I'm so glad he didn't. We're talking to the one, the only Giant Kyote, and we learnt so much more about him than we were expecting. There was a lot of stuff that he has actually repeated from, his Twitch streams and other podcasts. And I didn't want to be a nuisance, basically. I didn't want him to have to sound like a crack record, but he's like, no, like he pulled it back and he kind of took us through the timeline and where we are now and how he got into his Twitch streaming and how he manages to be so positive. And we even got a little bit emotional on this episode.
Yeah.
Nova made a note to kind of thank him because we worked it out. It was June of 2023 where we were going through a lot of health stuff. Our family was going through a lot of health stuff. It was getting very emotional. Nova Lee was having a meltdown, as rightfully deserved. Everyone's allowed. One of the great quotes from this conversation was from Kyote, and I'm going to butcher it now, but you'll hear it now, where he said, "You're allowed to be sad, but fucking pull yourself together, right?" But you were just having that moment where you just allowed yourself to be sad, and Kyote, as he does so often with a lot of people, and even like when I've been on his Twitch streams and stuff, he's always the same. He's just, just keep smiling, friend, sort of thing, But a little spoiler alert, he did mention in this conversation that he's working on merch of Do Hugs, Not Drugs,
Yes.
which I 110% want one of those shirts, but that's, it just blows my mind, right? And I don't want to spend too long in this intro here because we actually got in and out really well within the span of an hour and still had an amazing conversation. We had some technical difficulties. I managed to smooth them out perfectly, but, I could have just been transparent and you wouldn't have known, but it's Caught in Conversations. For the first time ever, the Bluetooth dropped out. Luckily, it was like right at the very early portions of the conversation, and I just said, hey man, you said this, and then straight after this, so he had to repeat himself, and I had to then trim it and line it up, but I think I've done a pretty good job, and
smooth.
I'm going to ask you guys where do you think it happened to see if it's noticeable.
Operator.
But no, if I as a one-eyed man with ADHD and a lot of just technological issues can edit a podcast, then anyone can do it. But I think we should do the song and match of the week, Nova, because I don't want to rant too much longer because this was an amazing conversation.
So your song for episode 118 is Dreams by Van Halen, and your match is Giant Kyote versus Christopher Daniels, AWF Supercard, Brisbane, May 20th, 2018.
And why, Miss Nova Lee, have we picked this song and this match?
Because this song is Kyote's pump-up song.
It's his pump-up jam!
That he listens to before he was doing every match, and when he does appearances and stuff. It's his pump-up song. And it was one of the cool matches that he mentioned that he actually had. One of his favourite matches was him versus Christopher Daniels, and it was pretty cool. So I'm like, let's go. Let's make this the match of the week while we're at it.
On an hour's notice.
Yeah.
He
only had an hour's notice.
You're wrestling
it's like, happy birthday, friend.
Christopher Daniels, who's one of the pioneers of independent professional wrestling of his generation. But hey, no pressure.
It's just so cool. So cool.
But yeah, that's blown my mind because obviously we're both massive Christopher Daniels fans in this household, and I've actually had the honor of meeting him, and I was like, man, I was like a child. I was like, please, Sir Daniels, may I get a photo? I don't know why I'm British all of a sudden, but anyway, but yeah, great song. Awesome little, I think it's the whole video goes for 12 and a half minutes. I think the match is like 10-ish minutes. But awesome little match. But yeah, With that being said, Nova Lee, would you like to? I didn't actually give you notes for how to introduce this man because I
That's
feel
okay.
like
I'm literally writing one right now.
it's like I don't know. There's so many ways I could do this, so I'm just going to leave it to you as the
Alrighty.
resident ring announcer. We're having asthma attacks and we're dying, but put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen. Would you like to introduce our man?
Alrighty. So spreading the power of positivity and good vibes, your gentle giant, Giant Kyote!
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are here with the one, the only Giant Kyote. It is myself.
Hello, friends.
It was myself, the essential John L. Crossfire. Nova Lee is back. She had to miss the last interview because she was very under the weather and then she had appointments and just life, but she's here now. We talked a little bit just then off air and just, shot the shit kind of thing. As I said to you, this isn't going to be any... You've said no question is off limits, and I do really appreciate that. But there's going to be no like hard hitting questions per se.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
this is
hey,
just
like I said, you can ask anything you want, my friends. I don't mind. So I'm keen. I'm excited to be here. I really appreciate you guys making time for me to come and jump on. So yeah, really looking forward to it.
So obviously this is your first time on the show. I'm assuming you've probably never listened to the show before, but for people that are on for the first time, I always have 5 core questions, and we kind of have those, and then we sprinkle whatever else is relevant in between those. And again, because both co-hosts are ADHD as hell, it could you might say something that'll span me going, "Oh my god, what's your opinion on?" Insert random,
Totally
I mean, as you've seen in Pierce's chats, I very often you'll say something and I'll be like, "That reminds me of this," which is like you can kind of see where I come from, but at the same time, you're just like, "What?"
No. Totally cool.
But yeah, so as I said, 5 core questions, and then we've sprinkled a little bit about what you currently do and what you've got going on in between.
All right.
Because Nova Lee did have to miss the last interview, I'm going to throw it over to her and I'm going to let her start us off officially here.
Alrighty, so to break the ice, the first question is that we always ask, what is your earliest wrestling memory, Coyote?
Oh, my earliest wrestling memory. Oh my goodness. So it would probably be, I remember first seeing wrestling probably in 1996, 1997. I was at my grandparents' house because they used to have Foxtel. And, it was always a massive fan. I remember the first thing I remember was Shawn Michaels versus Ken Shamrock. And Shamrock had Michaels in an ankle lock. And Michaels is kicking and flailing with a lollipop in his mouth. And the lollipop managed to stay in his mouth.
That's so good.
That is a god tier Shawn Michaels moment.
And then, now going into the next question, what was the deciding factor that got you into the business, and when did you decide you wanted to do it? Was there any particular match or moment where you said, I want to do this, and when did you say, I will do this?
I was always a fan. Like, the moment I saw wrestling, I absolutely loved it. I was also very, very badly bullied in my early years during primary school and stuff like that. And then I actually went to a local show in 2002. My mum managed to buy tickets to WCW Australia that were running here in Brisbane. And they are absolutely incredible. And I just fell in love with it. It was just absolutely like mesmerizing, good versus evil. It was really incredible just to see what people were doing and just, larger than life characters and the showmanship of it and just everything. It was just inspiring. And I was like, I need to do this. This is what I want to do. And then we spent years trying to find a school because we didn't have the internet. I came from like not like, the worst background ever, but we were doing it tough, and we managed to, use the internet, and we couldn't find anything. And then what happened was in January of 2004, my mum was looking for horse acreage for our horses to rent out a paddock. And she saw an advert in a window at a local shop and advertising that there was acreage for rent. So my mum met with this person and went to his house and invited her in for coffee. And on his coffee table was the Australian hardcore title for WCW Australia.
Oh,
nice. And she's like, "Oh, are you a boxer?" And he's like, "No, I'm a pro wrestler." My mum rings me and she's like, "Get dressed. I'm coming to get you right now." And I started training the following Wednesday. So yeah, I officially started training January 4th, 2004.
That's a cool way to like get into the business. Like that's pretty awesome. Like it's meant to be, man.
Incredible.
Just having your mum call you and say, "Get dressed, I'm taking you to this strange man's house."
Yeah. It was pretty funny. But it was just incredible.
Yeah, that's
started from there and then I never looked back. I signed up with WCW Australia, who eventually became Major Impact Pro Wrestling, who are now IPW Queensland or IPW Australia.
Nice.
It's crazy the amount of people that we've talked to that have literally just fallen into the business.
Yeah.
But that's
amazing,
probably the craziest one we've heard so far. Like if your mum didn't want the horses or whatever. Like my mum always wanted a horse and my dad always said no. So
I officially started training in January of 2004 and the rest, as they say, is history.
Just think if my dad had have said yes to mum wanting her horses all those years ago, maybe I would have ended up at some strange man's house. Oh god. Man, that's crazy, man. That's a deep cut too. Like IPW are killing it right now, man. Killing it.
It's a cool origin story.
But as we mentioned to you before, both myself and Talika, Nova, whatever you want to call her, my wife, we're both extremely ADHD. So this is gonna jump all over. This is gonna time jump more than a Marvel movie right now. Like we're just gonna.
I'm totally okay with that. My kids have ADHD as well, and I'm used to it. I'm totally on the spectrum as well.
Shiny.
I totally understand it, my friend.
But your story in the last handful of years, obviously you had a 20-year career just about, right?
Yeah.
And your story over the last handful of years has been very well documented within the Australian wrestling community in terms of what happened with losing the leg and, the unfortunate infection and stuff like that. Now, I'm not going to sit here and make you go through all the good and the gnarly details because you have talked about it both on Pierce's show as well as your streams and stuff frequently. But the reason I bring this up is, despite everything you've been through, you have to be the most positive person that I know.
Yeah.
Like I don't think there's anyone that I know that you're more positive than, and it's awesome to see. And it's semi-related. I'm going to rapid fire 3 questions at you. You can answer them in as little or as much detail as you want in any order. But the way it turns out is basically start off with everything you've been through and all the stress, and you're a husband, you're a father on top of all of that. You've still got to live your life, let alone, the whole wrestling aspect and that outside of it. Yep. Amongst all of this, you've managed to become a full-time Twitch streamer. So the 3 questions I have for you is, how do you manage to stay so positive with all of that stress? How did you manage to turn the negative into a positive in terms of going full-time with the Twitch streaming? And just lastly, as we record this, how are you doing mentally right now? Like just, you're always so positive, but just,
So the biggest thing is I have to take it back to we'll quickly run through it. So obviously I got injured on July 28th, 2018. So 6 years ago next weekend, this coming weekend. I initially had my foot treated and then was told I was medically cleared New Year's Eve 2019. I went back to work. I went back to security guarding and bodyguarding all through 2019. And then during 2019, I had 2 screws pop out for my right foot. We found out that my foot was completely cooked. And then obviously the wonderful pandemic rolled in and shut the world down. And I was scheduled to have a full foot reconstruction in October 2020, which is when I got what I refer to as the bear trap. So I had this over my leg with 14 spikes going down my leg and into my foot.
So now, obviously, this is an audio-only podcast, but those that have watched your
Yeah,
stream
no,
have
that's
seen
cool.
that. But that is
Yeah.
gnarly,
Yeah.
man. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but holy shit! Like,
Oh, you're right.
how did you wear that? That shit looks painful.
Yeah. So I had that put on in October 2020, October 13th, 2020. I wore that for 6 months straight. I couldn't weight bear. I couldn't lay on it. I couldn't do anything. And at the time, I saw guys like Jake Nova, Warship, had all started doing Twitch. And I was like, hell yeah, like, I'm literally going to be laid up for 6 months. I might as well do something that, what's the word? I'm blank. Constructive. Something that's constructive, and I'm not sitting on the couch and hating life sort of thing. So with my amazing partner, she backed me and supported me, and I said, look, I'd like to try and start streaming if I can. At the time, I literally only had a PS4 and a PS4 camera. I had nothing fancy, no bells, whistles, nothing. And I made a plan of attack that I created my Twitch profile end of July 2020. And I said, I'm not going to go live until I have 50 followers, because that was one of the steps you need to do to get affiliate. So that's how you become like working for Twitch. So I went live for the very first time on August 18th, 2020, and I got my affiliate a week later.
Oh, that's cool.
That's awesome.
So doing a 1 hour stream each day, just playing Tekken 7 at the time. And that's where I created the idea of the Hour of Power, where I would play Tekken for an hour and try and beat 1 million points. Got my affiliate and just never looked back. And I'm coming up to 4 years as a full-time streamer in August next month. So, yeah, I now stream every Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night on Twitch. And then I do pop-up streams on TikTok. I actually finally got access to the TikTok live studio earlier in the year. And it's been amazing. It's been so much fun, and it's so rewarding to be able to connect with people all over the world and different, personalities, cultures. Like, it's absolutely insane. Like, I've had people from, Russia, Ukraine. I've had people from all over the world. Like, I've even had a guy from the Congo in my stream once. And you're like,
That is so cool.
like,
That is nuts.
so wild.
Yeah.
And I've gone from at affiliate stage I had 50 followers to now I have 5,100 on Twitch.
Wow, that's
and
awesome.
I think I have
I'm
like
probably
20.
close to like 10K across social media. So it has been a lot of work, and like obviously you put a lot of hours into it, and Em helped me get my first setup as well as my community. So I finally upgraded to PC in October 2021. So a year after I started streaming, and then moved to the PC and built what's here now. So, but like the biggest thing I've always done with this is it's definitely come down to mindset. I made a promise that this was never going to change me. This was never going to define me. I was always going to face it head on. And obviously at the time when I had the bear trap put on, the possibility of having the amputation was always there. But I made a full recovery in 2021. Like, I started full weight bearing. Everything looked really successful. And then I had an infection get into my foot in February 2022, which spiraled and led to eventually my amputation. So the amputation happened on March 7th, 2022. I had a week to prepare. And then the night before the amputation, I went to social media and posted what was happening and what the next stages was. And the boys at the Bullet Click very kindly started a GoFundMe to help me and my family during that time. And thanks to the Aussie wrestling community, the Twitch community, and just everyone, we were incredibly lucky and grateful to raise and receive over $10,000. So, which was absolutely mind-boggling. Like, I couldn't believe how generous everyone was during that time. And I had the amputation, and I remember waking up post-surgery. Like, my surgeon cried when she told me the news. Like, she was devastated because she'd been part of this journey for so long trying to save my foot. And like, I can't go into great details about what happened and stuff like that, but she was trying to fix other things. So, like, her and her teammates literally came and saw me and told me personally that, unfortunately, we've lost this battle. We need to amputate. and if we don't amputate, you're going to die. So they were playing straight up. They said, this will kill you if we don't get rid of it. Because I had golden staph, group B strep. I had 4 different types of infections eating away my foot. And it was starting to spread. And they didn't actually realize how bad my foot had gotten until they removed it, and it was dead. Like my foot was totally gone. So if we didn't remove it, it would have removed me.
Damn.
And after the surgery, I woke up and I just felt so free and at peace and happy. And I was like, right, let's go. Let's do this. I've always had this attitude of, proving people that I can do something when they don't think I can. And I took that mindset and I didn't stop. So I had the amputation. I was on the ward for 3 days before they moved me to rehab. And I was doing 3 rehab sessions a day, just smashing it out. And I left the hospital a week later. So I ended up spending nearly 2.5 months in hospital. I got admitted on the 8th of February 2022, and I got discharged on the 23rd of March 2022. So I was away from my family for nearly 2 months, processing everything, dealing with everything. And a credit to Em, she's home, and at the time we had 3 kids, so she's looking after the kids, running the house by herself, and I'm laid up in a hospital bed, processing everything that's happened. And I was like, no, this isn't going to change me. I won't let this change me. I won't let this define me. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to live, and I'm going to get through it. And that's the mindset I've had ever since. Like, through rehab, physio, learning to walk on a prosthetic. I completely completed prosthetics training in less than 9 months. Because at the time, when I first met with the team and stuff, they're like, at this time it was July 2022, so it was like 3 months, 4 months by this point post surgery, and they're like, it'll take at least 2 years, maybe longer, for you to actually walk, do everything again. I said, I'll do it in 3 months. And they laughed at me. I got discharged December. I got discharged December 2022 from physio and rehab, and then 2023 was trying to get my legs and get it all sorted, and then I started training, and I say to anyone, I have my bad days like anyone else. There are days where I'm on the floor a mess, crying, because I'm having stump issues, or I am far from perfect. I am not a positive person all the time. I'm like anyone else. I'm human. I make terrible jokes. Like, people go, how tall are you? I'm like, I'm 6'10", but I'm only 5'10" now because I lost a foot. But I find the strength to overcome it and just keep moving forward, because if I don't, I'm going to go backwards, and I don't want that. Yeah. So I took streaming up a notch. I took, being involved in the wrestling community again, and training for the Paralympics. I'm now training for powerlifting with sporting wheelies, and my brother-in-law Jay. We're training 3 times a week. I'm seeing massive changes. I'm now down to 162 kilos, which is less than I was weighing before I had the injury, and I'm noticing big changes. So, my best advice to anyone is you can overcome anything. It comes down to your mindset. You either let it beat you and the person in the mirror beat you, or you become better than them. It's hard work. It is. Are we allowed to swear?
Yeah, say what you want to.
Yeah.
Cool. It's fucking hard work. There are days where I'm like, nah, this is fucked. I hate this. If I didn't have Em and the kids, I don't know where I would be at mentally, because I've got 4 beautiful kids now that I want to be there for. I want to grow up. I've got a wonderful partner, and and she's done so much. She stood by me through all of this, and the community, everyone in Aussie wrestling, and it also was so rewarding to see all the wonderful messages and the comments and the videos, the calls. I even had a care package sent to my house from a group of Aussie wrestlers as keep powerful, keep motivated, and it made me realize that for almost 20 years it was all worth it. and I had achieved something special.
That's awesome, man. See that. Despite like some of the shitty clicks you can get in wrestling, that's the brotherhood that people talk about when they bring it up. Like that is fucking awesome, man.
Yeah.
And like
people talk. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was just gonna say like it's. I don't want to put myself over at all because this is about
your
story. But obviously, regular listeners of this show, they're aware of like this is as we record this, we're day 795 post cornea transplant. I still have the stitches in my eye. That's over 2 years, man, and it's killing me every fucking day, and it's painful, and it's hard to deal with. Obviously you can't see; it's hard to deal, right? Obviously, I'm not fully blind, but I've told you so many times in your streams and on Pierce's show that like your positivity and shit that you've been through, like motivates me to stay positive, and it's the same thing. Like if I didn't have this one. Putting up with my shit and my tantrums on my bad days, like what would I do? And the same thing, like I've had, like there was a spell at the start of the year where I had 4 back-to-back trips to Sydney because the eye started to reject, and it was just, it all went downhill. And a bunch of wrestlers and stuff fucking banded together and went, let us help you. And I was just like, man, if I never had wrestling, our family and immediate friends outside did try to help as much as they could, but if it wasn't for wrestling, it's like I wouldn't have had that much support. And it's just you saying that's awesome, man. That warms my heart.
Oh, dude, like it was absolutely incredible. And like I said, like the Bullet Click boys, so Maniac, Craven, Shark, all the boys jumped in and got this GoFundMe going, and then seeing people I look up to like David Storm, Damian Slater, some of the Gino Gambino, I don't want to leave anyone out, but like the legends and the pillars of
literal royalty in Australian wrestling.
They're like reaching out, and like David Storm messaged me every single day while I was in hospital. Dingo Cannon, same thing, messaged me every single day. Like there are people out there that literally made sure I was okay. People brought food to my family and stuff like that. Like everyone really banded together, and it was such an incredible thing. And Aussie wrestling always gets this whole stigma and this horrible smell that people are in it for themselves. But like you said, there are groups out there who genuinely care about each other and want to see each other succeed and help. And wrestling can be an absolutely fucking ugly thing at times.
Oh, 100%.
But at the end of the day, it owes us nothing. Like wrestling gives us a platform to escape reality, create wonderful memories for fans and people who are spending their hard-earned cash. But it doesn't owe us anything. Like I've had people question me and go, "Why are you not mad at what happened? Why are you not angry? Like this is what happened." And I'm like, because I knew the risk. I knew what was going to happen. And I've been doing this since I was 15. Like, I've literally been Kyote since I was 15. Like, and it's so funny when people go, "Oh, that's your shoot name?" I'm like, "No, it's this." And like, "Wait, I thought your shoot name was Coyote." I'm like, "No, dude." Like,
Nova just made that joke just before when I was calling you. I was like, because I was like saying your name out loud as I was typing again, just because ADHD.
No, it's not.
And she's like, "That's not his name."
Yeah, that's not his name. Who's that guy?
Coyote. What?
I cannot say enough about Em. And like you said about Lee, like she's helped you and she's been there every single step. Em's the same for me. Like I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for Em. Like she's literally looked after me, cleaned up, like dealt with horrors that no one should deal with, as a partner. And it shows how amazing her character is, and anyone that supports their partner, that's something special. So yeah, but I'm very grateful for everything that's happened and where I am now, and I'm not going to let it slow me down. I'm not going to let it change me. Like, it was funny. It was actually February last year was the first time I went back to a wrestling show.
Yes.
So I completely stayed away from Queensland wrestling. Like I literally took a step back, and by that point it had been everything I've ever known for 18 years. And I totally stepped back. I was like, nah, I can't. And then Nightfall Pro Wrestling had a show literally 10 minutes down the road. And I said to Em, I said, I think it's time. I think it's time that I go back, you know. And it was crazy. Like, I was shaking. I was so nervous. And I walked in. I said hello to everyone, shook hands, you know, catching up with people I haven't seen for so long. And then I was just standing there looking at the ring, and I just broke down crying. Because that's our safe space, you know. That's, you know, that and Emma are the two safest places I've ever been. And, you know, as I said, I've had bullying, I've had heaps of issues and shit growing up, and, you know, mental health and all sorts of stuff. And that's where we feel free. That's where we feel safe. And to be back, it was special.
No, I feel that because I've been doing commentary, which is funny in and of itself as a one-eyed commentator, but just
how fun is commentary though?
But just being around, like, this again, you don't even have to be standing in it, but just seeing it and touching it and feeling it. It's weird, like, and I'm obviously never going to put myself on the level of someone like a Kyote or anyone else, but just being around the ring, it feels like home, and it's just it's a feeling that
sure,
it's hard to describe, man. But no, I'm glad you had that clarity. How did that come about with Nightfall? Did you reach out to them? Did they reach out to you?
Yeah,
or did you just...
I reached out to CJ and Johnny, and I was like, hey, look, I'd like to come down and maybe help if I can. I'd like to potentially advise or do something. And they're like, yeah, of course, like, you know, come down, we'd love that. And I went down, and because I did some stuff with them in 2019. So because I was told I was medically cleared and everything else, and then even in up to 2021, I ran a storyline with Flashman, and I was still walking around in a moon boot. So, you know, I had been involved in stuff prior to the amputation, and I've always just wanted to help Queensland wrestling and Australian wrestling. If I can be there to help someone, I'm going to do it. Like, Em and I flew down to Newcastle in July of 2019, and I did the Rumble show. And, you know, we flew down together, and Em was, you know, 7 months, nearly 8 months pregnant at the time. So,
oh, wow.
Like, I had thought at that time that I had made a full recovery because I was back at work and everything else. And then I worked all through COVID doing bodyguarding and security and stuff. So everything changed from 2020 onwards, because starting with the foot reconstruction up until the amputation. So yeah, I just reached out and said, look, I want to come back. I'd like to help. I want to be there. I just want to advise. I'm not looking for spots or anything like that. And yeah, and we just went from there. And then the following month, I traveled up to Wide Bay Pro Wrestling for the very first time. And I met Anthony the Bull, and obviously Todd Eastman and I have a lot of history and a lot of good memories. And their usual commentator and ring announcer, Lachlan, was sick. And I said, look, I'll do it. I'll step in for ring announcing. And it was incredible. It was
world's
absolutely
largest
amazing.
ring announcer.
So, like, commentating and ring announcing, so much fun. And then I got the on-screen role as general manager for Nightfall. And, like, we did a show last year at Nightfall called Reality Check, where each wrestler was given an envelope and it had their reality check in it. And we opened the show, everyone's acting like normal, and a ref runs out and hands me an envelope. And I'm like, oh, what's this? And they're like, well, everyone's getting a reality check. This is yours. And I opened it, and it was like, Coyote Nightfall Management wants you to understand that this is your reality check, and your reality is that you'll never wrestle again.
Oof.
And that was the first time I said it publicly as well. It was like, your in-ring career is done, but with that comes power, and you're now the general manager. But it was the first time that because, you know, I've had these wild ideas. I've said to Em, I was like, I could go back. I could totally wrestle. I could do it. I know I could do it. But I would be selfish in doing that because it's putting myself at risk as well as my family, and I'm not going to put them through that. So, like, there'd be a lot of times where I would be like, oh, you know, I'll be back one day. And Em's like, babe, you're not. Like, you need to accept this. You need to move on. And then we did the reality check show, and that was the first time I sort of publicly said it to the wrestling fans and everyone that I can no longer wrestle. Like, that's it. But, my in-ring career is over, but now I get to help everyone else. I get to give back to this incredible industry.
Hell yeah. Just off the back of that, though, like, before I fell back to Nova, like, obviously you wouldn't be the first one-legged wrestler in the business before. We had, obviously, Zach Gowen did the whole one leg. He took the leg off. We had Sergeant Chris Melendez in TNA, who was a former war veteran whose leg was blown off, and he actually wrestled with his amputee leg attached to him. Have you ever considered, like, possibly doing, like, a Rumble spot or something just for clarity, or...?
Absolutely. Like, of course, everyone wants that big movie moment, the closure, and like, we were talking about this recently because I was talking with Em about it. Like, I won 19 championships in my career, and as far as I'm aware, no one has ever won 20 in Australian wrestling. And, this is a shoot. I was meant to win the Suplex Pro Wrestling title the week after I got injured in 2018. So that was going to be number 20. So I would have gone into the history books as the most decorated Aussie wrestling champion in the modern era. So, yeah, like, I've always got this, idea in my head. I could do one more. I can do it safely. I know I can do it. But it's not worth the risk. It's not worth putting my family or myself in further danger. Like, it's not worth it. As much as I would love to have that one last moment, I still get to experience that roar and that feeling of stepping from behind the curtain. Everyone has their, like, traditions before a match or an appearance, and like, I always listen to Van Halen Dreams. That is my all-time favorite song. I listened to that before every single match, any appearance, and if I was ever on a plane, I would always play Here I Go Again by Whitesnake. They were like my two big wrestling songs. So, and even now, I still get that amazing rush of coming out to the crowd and interacting with them. We've done a couple of little spots where, like, I was in a moon boot or something, and Em's there, and I've cleared it, and so yeah. But no, at the end of the day, it's just not worth the risk.
Fair enough. That's fair enough. But before I throw it to Nova, I think we've just got the song of the week during this conversation as well.
Yeah.
Van Halen Dream. That's going to be the song of the week when I edit this episode together. Hell yeah. But just as we record this, man, like, how are you doing right now?
Dude, I'm in probably the best place I've been in such a long time, because there has been so much trauma, turmoil, like, negatives and setbacks, and like, we faced so many challenges together. But I'm lucky, man, because I get to we homeschool our kids as well, so our kids are home 24/7. So our kids, we're going out for days at the park. Like yesterday, we were out at the beach. Like, it's incredible, and also because of the journey that I'm on, with the Paralympics and streaming and everything else, it's awesome. But I definitely still have my hard days. Like, there are days where I can't put my prosthetic on because my stump's swollen too much. And like, even right now, my current prosthetics, which were meant to be my definitives, I got them in April. I've already outgrown them.
Oh, wow.
Because I've shrunk. So my sockets were fitted at 34 centimeter circumference on my stump. And because I'm losing weight and training and stuff, my stump is now down to 29 centimeters. So I need to get fully refitted with new legs.
Oh, wow.
And because the dangerous thing is, if your socket's too big, it's then rubbing on your stump and the skin, and it can cause breakdowns and all sorts of issues. So there are times where I can only wear a prosthetic for a few minutes until it starts hurting, or I risk having a breakdown. Like, I had a really bad one in September of last year, and I had this horrible wound on the end of my stump, and I was in a wheelchair for nearly a month because I couldn't wear my prosthetic. So I just kept being positive and just kept going through it and jumping through the hoops. But mentally, I feel like I'm in a really good place, and like, I've also been learning, and I owe this to Em. Like, Em's taught me so much over the last 6 years about facing, because I've always had the habit of putting it behind me and keep moving forward. Yeah. But even though you're doing that, it's still there. Like, you can keep it under the rug, but it's there. So I've learned that. I remember one time she turned around to me and she's like, everyone doesn't like you, right? And I was like, what? Like, what do you mean?
You mean there's people out there that doesn't like Kyote?
Yeah, it's like,
Who the fuck are these people?
I was like, oh shit, that's a good dose of reality and real life. And I was like, it's like, you don't need to be friendly with everyone. Because I have this habit, like I have this terrible habit of, like, say for example, if I had to cancel today, I would have messaged you going, hey man, I hope everything's okay. I hope you're having a really lovely day. I'm so sorry to doing this, man, but I can't make the stream. Whereas Em would go, just fucking say you can't do it. Like, it's like, it comes in all sorts of situations. Like, someone would be like, oh, we want to do this and this. I'm like, like, I get worried about saying no. And that it's okay to say no to people. It's okay to go, yeah, nah, not doing that. Like, so it's been so funny in that aspect that she's helped me so much with that. But, like, I'm training 3 days a week. I do Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays. I'm also working with Centurion Collectibles. I became their ambassador earlier in the year. And they're a family-owned and run TCG shop, so a trading card store. And
that's where you get all those dope.
I love the Pokemon and trading cards and stuff like that. And I'm sharing it with my kids. Like, my kids go to Pokemon Club. And it's so good, man. Like, just building that community. I see it. Very nice.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see it all. I'm not blind. I can't see I can't see if it's like on the camera or not. I'm just like,
I know. We opened I managed to win a booster box of Scarlet and Violet last week, and I split it with the kids, 12 packs each. And Lily got the Golden Maradon and the full art the Morel trading card. Like, they're both pulling, like, the biggest cards in the set. And I'm like, oh my God, we need to find this. We need to send it for grade. And they're like, but Dad, it's ours. No, put it away. I just won a booster box of Fusion Strike. And they're going for like $400 or $500 on eBay at the moment. I said to the kids, I'm going to put it away for saving. And, like, one day I'll pass it on to you guys. They're like, but why? I'm like, because we don't open this. Like, we put it away. So it's been so funny trying to teach them about collecting and, learning to save things. And, like, my kids are absolutely amazing. Like, they collect cans for coins and stuff like that. And, we've currently got 5 bags of recycling cans. And it's so funny. Like, Rye gets all hustly. Like, if we're out in public somewhere, he'll be like watching other tables and he'll be like, Dad, it's so good. Like someone will leave like 3 cans. Dad, it's so good. Like, they're absolutely incredible. Like, and I've had Rye on streams with me. Like, I've had Ryan and Lily on stream. It is so much fun. And as I said, like, we homeschool, so they're home 24/7, and it's so cool to build that connection with them and have those special moments. Because obviously, people that send their kids to school, you lose so much time every week with your kids, like, and that's not knocking anyone, but wouldn't you want that 30 hours a week back, sort of thing, Sorry, I just had the Queen message me.
That's so good. I was just like you were telling the story though about like how the cards meant so much. I've told the story briefly on another episode. I couldn't tell you which one it was off the top of my head, but I actually, before I was with Nova and we got married yada yada, when I was a bit younger, I think I was about 19, so that was 10 years ago now. I was in a very toxic relationship where basically my partner at the time told me I needed to grow up and yada yada yada. All of my Pokemon cards and Yu-Gi-Oh cards went in the trash.
Oh, dude,
some of which were like first gen Pokemon cards. So if I could just go back and just punch future, like, past me in the face.
Dude, I had Gen 1 cards. Like, I was obsessed with Pokemon in 97, 98, 99, 2000. Like, I went to all the Pokemon events. I went to the Poke Tour. Like, I used to dress up. I used to have a Pikachu Velcro to my shoulder.
Hell yeah.
It was life. And then I sold my entire Pokemon set to buy a PS2.
Back in the day.
And it was really funny that I got back into it earlier this year, and I'm mainly collecting a City in Flames at the moment. And I pulled my first ever Charizard. And I was like 30 years of waiting, and I finally did it. Like, So, to have a full illustration Charizard card it was cool. It was like that boyhood dream went full circle.
Hell yeah. I'll throw it over to Nova now and let her ask her next question. Otherwise, I'm going to just ask 3 or 4 more questions that I didn't have.
Please, go for it.
So just off the back of like all the positive stuff that we've just talked about, before I get into the next question, I wanted to personally say to you, thank you, because there was a time there where I was having a really rough time on my Instagram stories, and you saw it and you messaged me, and it meant a lot to me because it really helped. Like, I was having a really shit time, and I just wanted to say thank you so much. Like, you might not even remember this, but it really helped.
Of course. You're so welcome, and I do that all the time. Like, I reach out to people and make sure that they're okay. Like, if I see someone post on social or something.
Yeah, because it's just stuck with me. I'm like, Coyote's an awesome dude. And I was like, we need to try and get him on the podcast. And John's like, all right, we'll do it. We'll book him in.
Yeah, I've been literally wanting to do this for years.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, anytime. Like, you guys want me, I will be here. I'm happy to do it.
Yeah, because it was just like, it was a really rough time. Like, there was a lot of stuff going on with John and his eye stuff and like family stuff. And it was just that, just reaching out and going like, hey dude, are you alright? Like, that just meant the world to me. Like, it helped so much. I was having the worst time.
No, honestly, I'm glad that I was able to do that and reach out and check in. So
yeah, so I wanted to touch on that too, just before we went into more questions and stuff, that it really helped.
Oh, I'm glad I do that for you. I'm happy that helped.
Yeah.
Getting sentimental here, which happens quite often on this podcast.
Touching on that, like last night I reached out to someone I'm not going to name names for respectful reasons, but I reached out to them last night and I sent this massive sort of like hype message, just trying to cheer him up. I swear he's saying, he's just looking and goes, fuck you, Coyote. He's like, I'm sure he's like, I don't need to hear that shit right now. Like,
just let me be sad.
I was like, you're allowed to be sad, but fucking stand tall. And I was like, so it's really funny.
Yeah.
But like, the biggest thing is like, it's okay to be sad. Like, people are allowed to have their down days. I hate it. And this is from the teachings of them. I'm like, I should like get a gospel book, the Gospel of M. Like, people can't just switch it off, and everyone has different ways of dealing with mental health or mental illness, and it's not as simple as going, by golly, I'm going to be happy. I was like, right. So, no, like, it's always good to check in on people, make sure they're okay. It doesn't. It's like when I say I'm streaming, like I never expect people to put money into my streams, like. I'm there to provide them somewhere that's safe, fun, and a happy place. And I always say it's free to follow, and a follow can change someone's entire day. Like, that interaction.
So my next question, now moving on from like all the sentimental stuff. What is your favorite game to stream on Twitch?
Oh, no.
Or a couple if you can't just pick one.
Yeah.
Well, if anything right now, like, I love my horror games, but I've always been a massive fighting game fan. Like, the Mortal Kombat franchise means the world to me. I was actually fortunate enough to work on Mortal Kombat 2 last year when they were filming it here in Queensland. And so that was a really surreal moment that I was on set for Mortal Kombat 2. And I'm currently ranked, I haven't checked my rank recently, but last time I checked it, I was like 470th in the world. So,
whoa.
Which is pretty gnarly for endless mode. So, yeah, definitely Mortal Kombat. I love my horror games. Like, we do BFG Fridays every Friday night, Big Fright and Giant Friday, where, I'll play horror games and people watch me jump and scream. But yeah, too many. I've finished 45 different games on stream since starting streaming from start to finish, and big games like Red Dead Redemption 2, GTA 5. Like, that was the first time I ever played GTA 5 as well. Like, I literally waited 10 years to play it.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so I went in totally blind. And people were like, "What do you mean you've never played it?" I'm like, just never played it. But
Actually, I had the same response when you were playing LA Noire recently.
Yes.
Everyone was in the comments like, how have you never played this? And I'm just like looking at Nova and I'm like, I've never played this.
It's one of my favorite games.
So, yeah, no, it's good fun.
Just going on from the Twitch stuff as well,
Sure.
what's been your favourite thing so far about streaming in general, whether that be making friends, getting played to play video games, or even just perhaps like buying cool shit, etc. Like,
I love, and I'm going to sound a bit cheeky here. I get off on the fact when people go, "What do you do for work?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm a Twitch streamer." Like, what? I'm like, I play video games for a living. They're like, what? I'm like, yeah.
yes.
It's like OnlyFans, but for video games, and I don't have to get paid.
Yes.
And people are so confused by it, like especially older people, where you're like, yeah, I literally sit in my house, play video games for the World Wide Web, and have people from all over the world come in and watch me play. They're like, they watch you play video games. I'm like, yeah. But like, I've had some really funny memories, like, and moments, like, during I think it was my 2-year anniversary stream or my 3-year anniversary stream. It was one of them. M literally waxed the top of my head. There was that. I've had my community order me Macca's, and I've literally sat here on the phone and like done an order over the phone. And I'm like, yes, I'd like 500 pickles on just a burger. They're like, what? I'm like, yeah. This is
I
what I'm
want that
doing.
McPickle burger, mate. Give it to me.
I wouldn't say 500, but I mean, I think within reason, the McPickle should be a thing. Maybe that's just me.
But yeah, no, streaming is so rewarding, and like I love when people come in, and especially if they're new to the channel, they're like, oh hey, I'm like, hey, how's it going? What's going on? Like, oh, I'm having a really hard day, and I'll stop what I'm doing, and I'll be like, hey, let's chat. What's going on? Like, giving people that platform to talk about stuff and being so welcoming, and like it's really, really incredible. Like to be able to do this and call it as my job, like. And I don't want people thinking that I'm making stupid amounts of money, like ninja money or stuff like that. But it helps our household, and I'm incredibly grateful for everything that happens with streaming. I've been fortunate enough to receive payments from Twitch for a while, and it's incredibly rewarding. But it's also a lot of hard work. People think, oh, streaming's easy. I'm just going to jump on and by golly, that's it. And like. You guys are the same, like you're trying to build your podcast, so you're constantly on social media, you're interacting with other people, you're reaching out. Like it's not as easy as just hitting a button and going live.
Yes, definitely. I think I've only got like 19 followers on Twitch to your 500 or whatever you said you had.
So like it's a lot of hard work, and like you can also see when people are in it just purely for the money, and I feel like that's the wrong mentality. If you're going to start streaming and thinking that you're going to make money, you won't. If you manifest and are positive and caring and actually are real, then I feel like your audience is going to connect with you. And like I've had people in stream who know me in real life. They're like, Kyote is exactly like he is in real life. It's not a show. It's not a gimmick. Like he is who he is. He's a real life gentle giant.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and then, so my next question as well, moving back into the wrestling stuff, before we get to our last 3 official questions, what is your favourite match of all time, both that you've had personally and that you've seen?
That I've seen? Okay, just to clarify, is that any match I've ever seen live or?
Live TV.
Yeah, live TV, yeah.
You can have a list if you like.
Oh God!
Yeah.
Okay, so from a fan's perspective, and that I've seen live, I'm gonna just throw a couple off the top of my head straight away. Ricochet versus oh God, why am I drawing blank right now? Ricochet versus Zack Sabre Jr. at World Series Wrestling in 2018 in Brisbane. Adam Brooks versus Renegade at Wide Bay Pro Wrestling. I think it was December last year. Shawn Michaels, Triple H. Like I'm the biggest Shawn Michaels mark. Like Michaels is God to me. I literally faced my flying elbow, like my second rope elbow drop off Shawn. Like And I even use that GIF as my raid alert when people raid into my streams, is me dropping the elbow. So,
Yes.
oh man, there's so many as a fan, but that's a good start. As for wrestling myself, I put up there my matches with, I've only ever had one actual one-on-one match with this person, and that was Aussie Wolf. I loved being in the ring with him anytime, if it was a tag, in a one-on-one. Jake Paragon, who used to wrestle for Schwa, he was incredible. Goodness gracious. Maniac and I used to beat the crap out of each other. Dean Draven. My match with the Fallen Angel, Christopher Daniels, I did that match on less than an hour's notice.
That was
pretty cool.
That is awesome.
Yeah, so just the whole journey's been incredible. Like, it's really funny. Like, the first time I ever wrestled out of my own company, out of my own homestead, I wrestled in New Zealand. I didn't wrestle in the state. I went over to IPW in New Zealand in 2006. So, like, I literally went international before I went interstate.
Oh, wow.
That's actually pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. So, like, yeah, I've had over 500 matches. I've been fortunate enough to have 19 championships. I've traveled all over Australia, England, New Zealand, America. Wrestling in America was so much fun because myself, Nick Excel, and Minx almost got taken out by a local gang who were waiting for us out front because I blew my nose on the American flag. So we finished the show, we're about to walk out, and security walks up and was like, "Y'all the Australians, aren't you?" We're like, "Yeah." Like, "Don't go outside right now. There's people waiting for you. They heard what you did to the American flag. If they don't leave, we'll get to a police escort." Validation!
At least you didn't get arrested like Chris Jericho when he did that in Brazil.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, no, I've done it to be a part of some amazing moments. Like, everything we did with Bullet Click, like, it was so controversial and people hated it, but we had so much fun doing it. And like traveling all over the country and stuff. Like, it was funny the other day. My daughter Lily, she's like, "Dad, have you ever been on a plane?" I was like, "Yeah, honey, I've done over 100 flights." And she's like, "What?" Like, yeah, I used to travel weekly. Like, I was flying all over the country. And I said to her, one weekend I flew because I was living in Perth from September 2011 till January 2012. One weekend I flew from Perth in the morning, wrestled in Brisbane on the Friday night, then flew to Sydney, wrestled in Sydney on the Saturday, wrestled in Canberra the Sunday morning, and then I flew back to Perth and wrestled in Perth that afternoon.
God damn.
That is a hectic
Absolutely
trip.
Ric Flair got nothing on Giant Kyote.
Yes.
So, yeah, no, I'm incredibly grateful for everything I've done and all the opportunities I've had. It's a lot of fun. I wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah, this is blowing me away. He's wrestled Christopher Daniels on an hour's notice.
Yeah, that match is on YouTube as well.
Hell yeah, I'm gonna check that out at some point.
That was part of AWF's super shows, the ones that they had like Ryback.
And Suicide, which was yeah, I think.
Yeah, and I was originally meant to wrestle one of the Dragon Gate guys. I can't remember now, but yeah, like, I had been literally prepping and planning to wrestle this Japanese guy, and then TNT's like, "Oh, change of plan. Happy birthday, you're wrestling Christopher Daniels." I'm like, "What?"
Yes, because that was the tour. I think Jay Lethal was meant to be on that tour, but he got injured, and that was a very controversial tour in its own right, unfortunately. But some great talent on the tour, regardless. Oh Jesus, having an asthma attack live on stream. Now you obviously said that you've decided that between yourself and health and family you have come to terms like you're not going to wrestle ever again. But just in a perfect world, Mr. Giant, and this is where we're just really big marks here, and you can answer it any way you like. You can do it in more of a you'd like to hang out with this person more than you'd like to wrestle them. But if you could just have an ultimate dream opponent, dead or alive, who would it be? And what would your dream stipulation be?
I've been asked this a couple of times, and usually my answer always changes. But obviously, the big one is Shawn Michaels. I would have done anything to wrestle Michaels. However, the other one that comes to mind, I would have loved to have wrestled Abyss and Samoa Joe. I actually, a little bit of a fun story, when I saw Abyss was announced for World Series Wrestling, I actually reached out to Adrian. I said, look, I know this is highly unprofessional and I apologize for doing this. What are the chances of me wrestling Abyss? Like, I thought, screw it, I'm going to shoot my shot and just try. Like, you can't get in trouble for asking. And unfortunately, he already had Jimmy Payne booked. So, but yeah, Joe, Abyss, RVD, I would love to have wrestled like Kabashi. Like I have such a mix with things I like in wrestling, be it like, strong style. I love psychology. I love psychology and storytelling, and I believe that's actually a dying art in pro wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it's so important because that's what we're meant to be. We're illusionists of pain. We're larger-than-life characters who are telling a story.
I shared a meme yesterday on my personal Facebook, and the caption's like, when it's the 8th Canadian Destroyer of the night and it's only the 3rd match. And I was just like, oh boy.
Yeah, like it's one of the craziest things was like a guy my size shouldn't have been able to do what I could do. Like I could take Canadian Destroyers. I used to do swanton bombs. I could do flips. I'm not going to do it though because it doesn't make sense. I might pull it out once in a while. Like I did a training seminar where Will Ospreay had me standing on the top rope. I have no place being up on the top rope. Like, but just because I could do something didn't mean I had to. Like, I used to love doing a 540 roundhouse kick. And I would literally just float through the air, like, because I've got a background in Muay Thai and Ninjutsu and stuff like that. And a guy at my height and weight shouldn't have been able to do flips and rolls and stuff like that. So, but you see people do everything now just to get the stuff in or just to pop the boys, and it's not about the fans.
Absolutely.
Okay? Everything has to have a reason.
I love how Wade just so casually threw out like the whole. I did a seminar with Will Ospreay as well while he was at it. But what are some of your dream stipulations, or perhaps if we just say like even as a fan, like what are just some of your favorite stipulations to watch?
Oh man, I love like 3 Stages of Hell. I love Iron Man matches that are done right. I love like catch style wrestling as well. Like I love like Ricochet and Will Ospreay. I know a lot of people hate that sort of style of wrestling. I still think that Kenny Omega and Okada was a masterful match. The storytelling in that and the psychology. Like for example, when Okada goes to the Rainmaker and Kenny just falls under his arm. Like it's not him missing; he's just literally collapsing because he's so exhausted. I haven't had a chance to sit down and watch it yet, but like MJF versus Ospreay, I've heard is absolutely phenomenal. Like,
yeah, I wanted to watch that, and then when I saw they went for an hour and for seemingly almost no reason, that might make sense later on in the story. But at the moment, it seems like they went for an hour just because. I'm like, yeah, if I've got a spare hour, maybe. But
going back to it, like one of the other best matches I've ever seen live was AJ Styles versus Christopher Daniels at International Assault Tour in 2005 in Sydney. Phenomenal, like absolutely amazing. And like another like one of my favorite matches because I went to WrestleMania 28 and WrestleMania 30. I got to see Trips and Taker with Shawn in Hell in a Cell. I saw the streak and like I've been so lucky to see some monumental things in wrestling. Yeah.
So you talk about psychology and stuff, and then you mention those 2 matches, the emotional roller coaster of both of those matches. WrestleMania 28 was actually the first ever Mania that I got to watch live on pay-per-view with my friends. And I remember I was cheering for Undertaker, my friend was cheering for Triple H, and like the super kick, the pedigree. Dude, it was like we were like sitting there in the actual front row with the amount of emotion in that lounge room. It was insane.
So good.
But we always usually end this on a non-wrestling question, just as kind of a fun fact. But I'm going to throw an extra one in there now, just on stuff you were talking about. before, but just before you were kind of talking about how you're training for the Paralympics and stuff. So just, if we could, when does all that kick off?
So I started doing that February last year. I started training sporting wheelies, and surprisingly there isn't many Australian para-powerlifters, which really surprised me. So in para-powerlifting, the only event they do is bench press. So there's no clean and jerk, no deadlift. It's purely bench press. But you can't use your legs. It's all upper body. So they strap you to a bench, and it's just purely your arms. So, like, for example, the world record in para-powerlifting in open weight competition, which is what I would fall into, is 1 rep at 306 kilograms.
Jesus.
So at the moment, I'm averaging between 90 and 95 kilos at 8 reps. So, which means my 1 rep should be about 110. And like, I used to love training like crazy, and I used to do 300 kilo deadlifts. Like, there's a photo of me doing 300 kilos at Muscle Beach in LA in 2015. But I can't do deadlifts at the moment because prosthetic limbs have a maximum weight limit.
Okay.
So you can't exceed that. So so I'm hoping to start doing competitions later in the year, and then hopefully do Australian qualifying, and hopefully make the Australian team next year, hopefully, and get to LA. I think the next Paralympics is LA in 2026.
Hell yeah.
That's awesome.
That's cool. Yeah. The scary thing is, like, he just said that he could, in 1 rep, essentially deadlift 110 kilos, which
That's
is
you.
what I've gotten down to with all this weight loss. So I'm going to have to stop losing weight, otherwise Coyote's just going to start deadlifting. My God. But yeah, so this might be a little bit redundant, as this is an audio a podcast, but for people that have seen your streams or seen yourself on Pierce's show and just other video interviews and stuff that you have done, obviously you've got the little, collection behind you that features in the stream. Just, I'm a huge nerd. You're a huge nerd. Nova Lee is also a huge nerd. What is one of, or at least some of, your favorite additions to your collection? I'm extremely jealous of.
My prize item in my collection right now. Em actually bought it for my birthday this year. I think it was this year. Might have been last year. I have a signed Jason David Frank White Ranger pop.
Oh, that is fucking sick.
JDF is literally my hero. I've met him several times. The man was an absolute legend. I actually have the white tiger symbol tattooed on my arm.
Yes.
So yeah, that's probably up there. I suppose card-wise, like Pokemon card-wise, would be my full illustration Charizard card. I've got a Shao Kahn replica mask. So yeah, all sorts of different bits and pieces. I have an official tiger mask as well, which I found at a retro shop in the city.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, the legit tiger mask, full mask.
Dude, imagine just like walking into a random shop and just being like, oh.
Yeah.
Dude, that's sick. Cool.
Yeah, I literally found it in a costume section at a shop, and they were selling it for $10. And I was like, "You guys have no idea what this is, do you?" They're like, "Nope." I'm like, "Cool. Here's my money. Thank you."
And he's taken it home, and he's gotten it appraised, and he's just like, "Holy shit!"
I've even got the.
That's so cool.
Hopefully, it'll show up on camera. It's even got the Japanese tag on it.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah.
That is so cool. But before I throw it back to Nova, I think we're just going to say, I've been trying to convince Nova Lee to watch Mortal Kombat with me because I still have not seen it.
Do it.
So now we have a reason, because we're going to have to look out for Coyote in the sequel when it drops.
Go back and watch the 1995 one first.
See, what's your take on that? Because I actually really enjoyed that.
I love the 90s ones. Like, everyone hates Annihilation, which came out, I think, in 96, 97. I loved Annihilation. That was just me.
See, I like them both, but
yeah,
it's just it's cheesy and it's great.
Obviously, the 2021 remake was great. I hated Cole. Cole had no reason for being in the movie. I hope he dies in the second one. But I love what they did with Sub-Zero and Scorpion. I also love the fact they changed things up and had it that Scorpion took out Bihan's family, just changing the timeline a little bit, as opposed to the other way where obviously Scorpion's family was killed by the Lin Kuei. So yeah, I'm excited to see what they do with the second one, especially with Carl Urban playing Johnny Cage. I think he's going to do really well. But as I said, I can't talk too much about it, but from what I've seen and been a part of the MK2, it's going to be really exciting. They've just done test screenings for it in the States, and from what I've heard, it's going to be gnarly. It just sucks that we have to wait until October next year for it to come out.
Hell yeah. But real quick, Scorpion or Sub-Zero?
Sub-Zero.
Damn!
All day.
So I'm Scorpion. Scorpion's always been my dude. Like,
yeah, I've always thought about getting the Lin Kuei symbols tattooed on my wrist and everything. Like, yeah.
Oh, okay, fair enough. I'm going to throw it over to Nova Lee to wrap this up. Otherwise, we're just going to nerd out for like 2 hours.
Awesome. So with that all being said, Giant Kyote, where can we find you on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and of course your Twitch?
Yeah, I'm all over social media. You can find me on Twitch every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday from 9 p.m. Queensland time. Just the Giant Kyote is my Twitch handle. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on the TikToks. I can give you guys the link tree if you need. And yeah.
Oh, it has a link tree. That's even easier. You just click the one thing and it's all there.
That's it. One-stop shop. So yeah, no, we pride ourselves on spreading nothing but good times, good vibes, and positivity on my stream. So it's a safe, fun, happy place, and it's an absolute vibe.
Awesome.
And also a big shout out to Pierce Austin and the boys. I stream with them not every Thursday, but you can find me on there on Thursday night. So yeah.
Awesome. Another thing I had to ask too is where can we get Giant Kyote merch, and do you have any upcoming events that you want to, that you're appearing or hosting that you want to plug?
So I'm actually literally sorting out new merch today.
Nice.
For the Queen, and literally lining that up today. So we're going to do 2 runs of shirts. We're going to do the Don't Do Drugs, Do Hugs t-shirt, which I say at the end of every single stream. And then we're also going to be doing a run of my last logo, which was the tribute to JDF, so the White Ranger Coyote logo. So they'll be out soon. You can find me, I don't know when my next shows are. I'm always around the Queensland scene. I also want to try and start traveling again, hopefully do some training seminars. I've been chatting with people about coming down south and running some training, which will be exciting. So yeah, just keep an eye out.
I mean, if anyone from the Canberra / New South Wales region that listens to this show wants to bring him down so we can meet him,
that'd be sick.
No. But yeah, no, I just want to give back to wrestling, guys. I want to help people. I want to train people. I've been doing this for 20 years now. I've been fortunate enough to wrestle some of the biggest names in the industry. I've trained with some of the biggest names. I was fortunate enough to have 2 WWE tryouts, a New Japan Pro Wrestling Dojo tryout. So, I just want to give back. I just want to help, and I just want to keep doing the right thing and give back to what gave me so much.
Hell yeah. But, yeah, that's just blown me away. Because I knew you'd had a tryout. I didn't know you had 2 tryouts, so maybe we'll have to bring you back on in the future and talk about that and just...
Yeah, happy to. Anytime.
This is, as I said, Pierce is all the hard-hitting questions and getting to the bottom of everything, which I love because he's my boy. But this is a show for Marks by Marks, so I'd love to sit back and dissect that.
Anytime you guys want me on, I'm happy to be here.
I appreciate you jumping on, man, and being so punctual with your communication and helping me. I think we've already got a name for the episode. I think the Gospel of M.
Yes.
It was kind of thrown out there. I think that's a great little...
Shout out to M!
I thank you for jumping on, my dude.
No, thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me, and keep up the amazing work. You guys are doing awesome stuff. So, again, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, mate. You enjoy the rest of your day.
See ya.
All right, guys. Take care, all right? See you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, he's such a cool dude.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was...
Giant Kyote!
You had so much. You were so proud of that. If y'all... I just want to know how many people caught that when we did the transition sound from the intro. Mrs Crossfire was so proud of the little one that she literally just wrote on the floor as I was talking, so I guess me ranting was a good thing. Shock horror. But you literally, we just noticed as we're like editing this all together that you can hear you laughing
So I was like,
over
yes!
the top because you were like giggling that you were kind of proud of. Like, that's
I was
good.
like,
Yeah, absolutely
I'm like,
nailed
I'm
it.
getting better. Yeah.
You nailed it. This is see, like we might not be like the most well-known podcast, or we might not get the numbers that a true story of Pierce Austin gets, but this is great practice for your ring announcing skills, Miss Nova Lee.
Yeah.
Ha, man, but what an awesome conversation. And literally, like, as we're piecing this together, Kyote literally messaged me again and was like, hey, man, thanks for that. I was like, no, thank you.
It's so cool.
As I said in the intro, man, I've been wanting to reach out to Kyote for years, man. Like, I've been a really big fan of his, and I've never got a chance to actually meet him. But I think, because, like, and again, like, without going on a rant and taking control of this podcast too much, but I came into the business in 2017. I really only kind of started to learn about Australian professional wrestling in about 2013, 2014. And like one of the very first names I came across when I was like early in the business was Robbie Eagles. And obviously I knew people like Mark Mercedes and TNT and stuff like that. Giant Kyote was a name that I had obviously heard thrown around, and I'm not going to sit here and like I'm not going to lie and say that like I'm a super fan of what Kyote has done, but he's one of the small handful of guys that I kind of followed on social media and like, well, not even social media, but whatever the social media like wrestling pages on Facebook and stuff, where they were talking about wrestling. He was a name that was thrown about, and then other people that I met in wrestling talked about, hey, they met him in insert city here or whatever. But like the last handful of years specifically, obviously it's crazy like how each year goes on, like social media just evolves more and more and more. But like with Instagram and stuff and now Twitch, I'm always like, every time Kyote goes live, I get notifications, and I get so sad if I'm like in the middle of doing something, and I'll literally say that to you. I'll be like, Kyote's streaming, but I gotta do this, and like there's been a few times where like I'll put his streams on for like background noise while I'm doing stuff, but I found a lot of the time he'll say something which will like, oh, I've got to say this, and then I get distracted and first world problems. But I'm really entertained by what Kyote does, and his, I don't even know if it's charisma. Like obviously it is charisma, but like just his aura,
his power of positivity.
Just his. I think aura would be the right word to use, right? Like it's just. He's such an enchanting personality, like, and it's awesome. And I wish there was more people like him, not just in Australian wrestling, but just in life. And like something he touched on of, you can't please everyone. How many times has someone bumped into me, like in a grocery store, and I've gone, oh, I'm sorry. And you've been like, don't you apologize. It was their fault. And like, he basically said that he has that same thing with M, where he will be like, I'm sorry. Like, it's even last week, I had to postpone Benny's interview or conversation. I hate saying interview. Conversation by a day, just because I was feeling, I did my Twitch stream and I was feeling really good. And then I kind of, I guess, overdid it. And I crashed and I was like, I'm so sorry, Benny. And he's like, dude, it's fine. It actually works out better for me doing it the day after anyway. But it was just, it's just great. Much like our Michael Lee conversation, obviously two very different conversations and two very different sets of advice, but a lot of advice here that can apply both in wrestling and just life in general from Kyote, and I guess possibly M. Hence why I hope that when his partner M sees the name of the name of the video, the name of the episode, she gets a little kick out of that. But no, I really enjoyed talking to Kyote. If you want to give us the song and match of the week again, so that way I can get into our plugs and stop just fucking ranting.
So, your song of the week for episode 118 was Dreams by Van Halen, and your match of the week was Giant Kyote versus Christopher Daniels, AWF Supercard Brisbane, May 20th, 2018.
And I think it is mentioning, I probably should have mentioned this in the intro actually, but as we record this, we are heading to Sydney tomorrow for an eye doctor trip. I probably should have mentioned that for a health update and a this and a that, but hey, fuck my life. The stitches are meant to be out of my eye, so obviously episode 119, whatever that will or won't be, because again, we still want to do the World Series review, but we've just been so under the weather just with asthma and everything else, but we kind of pushed through for this conversation with Kyote as I did with Manny last week. But whatever episode 119 is, hopefully will contain a proper health update, and hopefully the stitches will finally be out of my eye, because the doctor's appointment will be day 797. It's day 795 as we record this. But yeah, just hopefully there'll be a health update in next week's episode. And I should have mentioned that in the intro, but yeah, whatever, I ranted. But just thank you to Kyote for coming on. I cannot stress that enough. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I say that to all the guests. Like, sometimes, like, people mistake free time for spare time.
Yeah.
I guess is the way to look at it. And like, this dude could have been spending time with his kids. He could have been spending time with his wife. He could have been doing like a bonus Twitch stream or training for the Paralympics. But for whatever reason, he decided, no, I'm going to sit down for an hour and a bit and I'm going to chat to these complete nobodies. So I appreciate that, Kyote. Thank you very much. And actually, he accepted my friend request on our personal Facebooks with our shoot names. So obviously won't mention them, but that made me a little excited. I kind of fanboyed a little bit. But no, I hope that with him wanting to start to travel and do seminar, like,
yeah,
again, and he brought up a good point of he doesn't want to go back to the ring because of the health risks and yada, yada, yada. But as I get closer to potentially having at least one more match that we have talked about with health and yada, yada, yada from my terms, and if it stems to more from that, then that's great. But I 100%, as I get closer to being able to do stuff, I would pay good money for a Giant Kyote seminar.
Definitely, yeah.
Just with the stories and knowledge he could drop just from a psychology standpoint alone, let alone
all the experiences had.
The actual, man, sign me up. So New South Wales, Queensland, he's from Queensland. New South Wales, ACT, Victoria, fucking Australia. Hey, maybe New Zealand. Can't believe he went international before he went interstate from Queensland. That's so absolutely cool. Crazy. But yeah, just thank you for Kyote for coming on. As Novalee said, song and match of the week were picked for two reasons. Well, two reasons, a reason each. They always have reasons. The song was because it was his pump up jam. The match was just because he wrestled Christopher Daniels, and that's fucking cool.
That's so cool. Man.
But, all of Kyote's links will be below, and he has a link tree. So that makes my job a lot easier. I can just go bang, and then you guys click on that, and it's a domino effect, and it's all there, and that makes my life very good. I might still go link tree and then still put the Twitch as well.
Yeah.
Just as like a double negative, but it saves me going Instagram, Facebook, and da-da-da-da-da. He's even got TikTok. Giant Kyote streaming on TikTok. That's pretty cool. But if you click on my link tree, you can get my Facebook, Instagram for both this podcast, my Crossfire page, my pro wrestling tees, the Amazon wish list. Our GoFundMe is still there. We haven't needed it as bad, but I am still selling a bunch of old Funkos and random shit to pay bills. So if you have the means, I'm not going to beg you, but it is still there. We had amazing friends set that up. Novalee, you have your link tree, which contains Instagram, X, and TikTok.
Yes.
Should probably get on adding the Court and Conversation pages at some point in that.
Yes, definitely. I forgot about that. I'm a co-host. Oh my gosh. Actually, wait. I might actually have that on my link tree. I need to check.
I don't know, but anyway. That's there. All the information's there, but definitely make sure you follow Kyote and all the cool things he does. And again, as he says, like, he does put a shit ton of work into it, absolutely. But the fact that he gets paid to play video games, that's fucking cool.
So cool.
As I said, I think I've got like 19, 20 at the max Twitch followers at the moment, but I enjoy doing my little streams. But this will drop on, what did I work out? Sunday, July 28th?
Yes.
If I can read a calendar? Excellent. I read the calendar right this time. So, with that being said, August 17th, ICW Canberra, Mass Wrestlers League, they are combining, they are smashing together for Saturday Night Smash. The link for tickets will be in the description. All tickets for that event are just $8, so best you pre-book. Otherwise, if you do come and you pay at the door, you will have to have Try and make sure you have enough like change and stuff because it is cash only. So, bring like a tenner, but hopefully there'll be $2 change. So book online to avoid just a mess around. October 26th, which is a little bit down the line, but we are getting closer, and I've talked about it at length on this show. I actually just made all the match graphics for this show, so very soon you will see High Octane and ICW Central West start announcing those matches. I'm obviously not going to spoil them, and once those matches have been announced, I was actually just talking to High Octane, we're going to announce some of the matches first, and then he'll come on and talk a bit about them, so that way, he has a lot of his chronic fatigue syndrome and stuff has been playing up, and obviously with the training and stuff that he's doing and the promoting that he's doing for Emma, he's like, if we're going to sit down and do a podcast, we're going to make sure we've got stuff that we can actually talk about. Because obviously last time we talked about, the advertising side of things, and he announced the main event for that show, but we need something to actually talk about to promote the show. So we're going to announce some matches so that way we can actually talk about said matches. Make sense? Makes sense.
Makes sense.
And then November 23rd, Australian Croatian club Extreme Capital Wrestling presents their third show, A Hard Day's Fight. It's gonna be a hard day's night. Of course, it's the Hoodoo Gurus cover of A Hard Day's Night by the Beatles. Absolute slapping banger, chef's kiss cover. And of course, as that event gets closer and ECW starts announcing their stuff, myself and Nova Lee will sit down and we will preview that entire card, possibly get people to send in their final thoughts. Again, we've had some very vicious final thoughts in both the previous events, so I'm assuming that especially the high intensity of the main event of, they haven't put out the official graphic, but we all know it's Ace Shack versus Jake Gibson. It was made at the last show.
Yeah, last show.
Jake Gibson had a lot to say about that tournament as it was, so now that he's the champion, I don't know what he's going to say heading into that match on this podcast, but luckily this is a completely uncensored podcast. Although the James High Octane episode will be try and reel it back because it is a very heavily family-friendly event, being a charity show, and of course, it's actually taking place in a church. So I'll do my best to mind my P's and Q's within that episode and in the intro and outro as well. But this was a fucking awesome episode with Giant Kyote. That was intentional, by the way. But thank you to Kyote. I'm sorry I'm ranting, but yeah, all of our links, Kyote's links, all of those shows that I just mentioned are in the description.
Speaking of links, by the way, I just wanted to say on my link tree,
you have added it?
It's there. There's Instagram and there's Facebook.
Excellent, you added it. Excellent.
Already had it added, mate. All over it.
I think last time we promoted it, it wasn't there yet.
It was there. I just didn't check.
Anyway. I am John L. Crossfire.
I am Nova Lee.
You guys were just caught
in conversation. Shakalaka-laka.
Do hugs.
Not drugs.